Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Empty Promise podcast. My name is Chris, and today I am joined on what is episode 113 by my best friend in the whole wide world, Mr. James D. Downey.
Hello.
D, thank you through the power of internet for joining me this morning on the 29th of November 2020 on this fresh, foggy, wintry morning.
Yeah, fresh is. I'd say fresh is a stretch. I would say it's borderline chilly. We've passed that threshold of fresh.
Would you not associate chilly as being fresh? No.
No, there's a very distinct difference.
Oh, I don't know.
When you go outside and you can stand in it for like about 2 minutes with a cup of tea in your hand, that's a fresh morning. But when you go outside and it's like, Jesus Christ, that's cold. That's chilly.
That's
you
chilly.
Go back inside. And
That's
cold
a good point.
weather is whenever you have to prepare to go outside.
Okay,
But you can tell by the look of it, like, that's cold out there.
Yeah.
I have to get gloves, I have to get like a hat, a good coat.
Yeah.
The car's probably frozen up.
That's a good point. That's a good point. That's I've never thought of defining different days like that. I always would consider, as long as it's dry and cold, I would consider that fresh.
I can see where you're coming from. There's definitely some overlap, Chris.
But there's a lot of moisture in the air with the fog. I don't know if it's foggy with you, but definitely around here, I'm very restricted by my viewing is restricted out this window this morning by the.
See that's no good.
By the fog and mist rising from the local lakes. So there we go.
And the best part is that you have basically a haunted forest.
Yeah.
Beside you with fog.
Yeah.
Which
100%.
is just nightmare inducing. So
yeah, it really is.
It's pleasant as all hell in the summer, but
it's gorgeous in the summer. In the winter, though,
as soon as the fog rolls in.
Yep. D, you want to tell the people about what we're going to get up to this week on the podcast?
Yeah. Well, as you may have guessed from the title, this is part 2 of our in-depth discussion and revelation of Jeffery Dahmer, the monster of Minnesota or Michigan?
Milwaukee.
Minnesota?
Minnesota, eh?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty harrowing stuff.
Yeah.
But fascinating at the same time. So we'll be going into that as our main topic. Also having your weekly dose of the news, a little bit of Nick Cage, weekly wildlife fact, I believe, is coming up. So, buckle in for that. Buckle up.
Yeah, you don't want to miss this, and this is where the podcast gets wild with our weekly wildlife.
I also have a list for this day, which
I like just... Yeah, you jump right into that list. Help me out with some knowledge bombs for this day.
29th of November on date of record. 1929, Richard Byrd, spelled B-Y-R-D, becomes the first person to fly over the South Pole.
You're joking. Oh, yes.
No?
Yes. I've read about that recently in a
bird fact book.
Yes, in a book. I'll tell you what it was. So that was 1929, do you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he was the first person to fly over the South Pole, and there were parts of the South Pole that had already been mapped with extraordinary detail. Maps that predated him ages ago that could not have been drawn basically without that knowledge of seeing the South Pole from the sky. So experts are still trying to work out how these maps came about.
Somebody managed to fly before, so he was not the first person to fly over the South Pole. Sounds
but
like.
I think that's a really, really cool name though. His name is Bird, and he's the first person to fly. I like that.
Well,
it's all linked.
That's our list today, is people with appropriate or inappropriate names for their professions or activities. Possibly one of the most inappropriately named people has to be Cardinal Sin. Cardinal Jamie Sin was Archbishop of Manila in the Philippines from 1974 to 2003. So Cardinal Sin.
The thriller in Manila, yeah.
What?
The thriller in Manila was, I'm pretty sure it was a Muhammad Ali fight he had to have in the Philippines because at the time he was banned from fighting in the US because he refused to go to war in Vietnam.
Oh, right. Well, there we go.
I don't know if Oh no, it might not have been him. It could have been somebody else. But the Thrill in Manila is definitely boxing related. You go ahead with your list, and
I thought it was Cardinal Sin was a thriller in Manila. According to the Associated Press, another inappropriately named person was Mr. Kiefer Bonvillain. He allegedly tried to extort 1.5 million from Oprah Winfrey, but got arrested for his troubles. If he does turn out to be a villain, he certainly isn't a Bon one. Oh. Bon being French for good.
So. Right.
Yeah, that's not a stretch.
Bond is French for good?
Yeah.
So like...
Bon. Good.
Oh, Bond. I thought you said Bond. I was like James Bond. James Good. That's pretty cool.
No. Bon. Like Bon. According to contributions to The New Scientist, appropriately and inappropriately named people include Ashley Burns, a fireman, Brian Mole, head of security at University of Sheffield, Mr. Brake, executive of a company making brakes, Bill Webb, a web designer at Tacoma News Tribune, Professor Michael Lean, professor of nutrition at the University of Glasgow.
That's cool. I like that.
Alan P.
Something toilet related?
Sewage worker, yeah. David Butcher, the executive director of the Royal Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. And David Nutter, producer of The X-Files.
It'd be an awful shame if Michael Lean was a fat guy.
There you go. That's irony for you.
Speaking of On This Day, did you know that in 1972, the co-founder of Atari, who was Nolan Bushnell, releases, the video game Pong? Like the boop,
oh yeah.
Boop. Released today, 1972, in Sunnyvale, California, in an Andy Capp's tavern. That's where he released it.
That's crazy.
Pong became it's the first commercially successful video game ever. Yeah.
It's also what made consoles in your house a thing.
Yep. Yeah.
Because it's the only thing that consoles back then, like the very first ones could play was Pong, and people were just like, we can play this at home on our TV.
I know. Imagine having like a big Pong tournament.
Big 80-inch TV, Pong.
Yeah. It's also recently deceased Chadwick Boseman's birthday today. And as is C.S. Lewis, author of the Chronicles of Narnia trilogy. And tomorrow it is Winston Churchill's birthday. So there you go.
There you go. If you're listening to this podcast
and
on Day of Verdes.
Today, or it's either today or tomorrow, I think it could be tomorrow, is Paul Walker, Fast and Furious actor. It's his anniversary from when he died as well.
Really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
God, yeah.
A lot of stuff.
That's a right while ago now, isn't it?
Yeah, that's got to be about 5 years.
Oh yeah, I'd say at least
6 years. Yeah, 2015, 16, right around there. Yeah. So there you go. Don't say we don't educate you.
Yeah, you're all pumped up with your facts this week.
Speaking of education, D, I hope you're ready for the final, unfortunately, weekly wildlife fact of the month. Because next month I'll have a new segment, a 4-part segment. But this one is good. I enjoy this. I enjoy this fact. D, did you know that the fingerprints of a koala are so indistinguishable from human beings that they have, on occasion, been confused at a crime scene?
What?
Yeah.
That's insane.
The fingerprints of a koala, like a koala bear, are so indistinguishable that they've been found at crime scenes, and people have mistaken them for human beings, and vice versa, I assume.
I'm first of all kind of surprised that there's like koala prints at a crime scene.
I know, yeah.
But then also that you can like trace it, and they're like, okay, yeah, we're running those prints through the system, and they're like, still no matches. What the hell? Mm-hmm. A fucking koala.
It's a koala, yeah. Koalas are weird little bears, like,
That kind of freaks me out a little bit. The fact that their fingerprints are like basically the same as ours.
I know. Like that they say that your fingerprints are unique to you and that nobody else in the world, no other human being in the world will have the same fingerprints. What if a koala does?
Yeah, the chances of like there being a duplicate out there just went up because you just add the entire population of koalas to the pool.
I think koalas are only native to Australia. I think.
Yeah, that's where I would associate them with.
I don't think there's any other like Australasian islands or anything that have koalas. So just Australia. There's the koalas with human-like fingerprints. There you go. That's your weekly wildlife fact roundup.
Thank you, Chris.
You're most welcome, D. You're most welcome. I'm glad I could educate the masses along with you on the fingerprints of a koala. I think we could jump into this week's news. Before we do, though, I just want to take this moment to thank everybody who's been listening and tuning into the podcast on a regular basis. Your support means so much to us. Thank you all very, very much. And remember, you can find this podcast on any podcast hosting service. Just search for Empty Promise Podcast. And the video version is also available over at youtube.com/Empty Promise Podcast if you wish to watch your podcast, which a lot of people like to do. You can get in touch with us through our social media. Instagram and Twitter work best. Just search for the handle Empty Promise Podcast, or through our email, which is
emptypromisepodcast@gmail.com.
That's beautiful. That is absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
Now, with all that corporate mumbo jumbo out of the way, I think we can move into our news.
That's all legal. We have to say
legal.
That before we move on.
That's the paid promotion right there. News of the week. Also, D, before we do it, I've broke into the Black Monster, the original Monster.
You did it, man. Crazy son of a bitch.
Not a massive fan of this stuff because, like I said to you before we went on, it has an ungodly amount of sugar. 55 grams of sugar in this one can, which is a ridiculous amount of sugar. So
it's got, it feels like a syrup.
Like
it's a thick beverage.
That's what it feels like. Yeah, like a really thick carbonated syrup.
Yeah.
So I don't think I'm going to finish this entire can. But I will sip on it because it is ice cold and it's going to give me a decent bit of caffeine and buzz just to get through this show.
Because this is such a slog, this show. Obviously, you need all the drugs you can muster.
Well, I think we actually work better. I think some of our best podcasts have been when we're both either hyper on sugar or really, really like, fixed to the moon on caffeine. Like so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
getting neurons firing all over the place, man.
Exactly. I also have green tea and a flask of hot water for a secondary green tea.
You kind of mellowing out, like you're taking your green tea to kind of counterbalance the
balance.
Yeah, sort of balance.
Okay, right. Hit me up with some news.
All right, I'm going to start with this. COVID-19. You probably heard of it.
I think it's past me.
One of the more unusual side effects, or I guess not side effects, one of the unusual symptoms of COVID-19 is a loss of like taste or smell.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, it seems that the negative reviews of Amazon's 3 best-selling scented candles have increased along with COVID-19 cases. The correlation, of course, being associated with the fact that the virus causes a loss of senses, including smell.
Wow.
So, people are sending negative reviews to Amazon about their candles not smelling well.
Wow.
Right. And this has went up in correlation with COVID-19 cases. So people could
crazy.
Be... Yeah.
So,
it's crazy how it can have such a like an actual appreciable effect on things.
Yeah. It's just snowballing. When you say that the top candles from Amazon, do you happen to know what the top scents are or what the top candles are? No?
I don't actually.
No,
I don't actually have
fine.
that.
That's fine. I could quickly Google that piece of information.
You need to find this out.
Yeah.
This was all just sort of noticed by social psych and neuro student Kate Petrova, who investigated using mathematical analysis and graphs.
Mm-hmm.
She discovered that since the beginning of 2020, customer satisfaction with scented candles has been dropping at a much faster rate compared to unscented candles.
Right.
And expanded her sample to include the top 5 scented candles she discovered that since the beginning of this year, the proportion of reviews mentioning lack of scent grew from less than 2% to close to 6% in November.
Right.
And you can follow her process, including graphs and more information on her Twitter.
Oh.
But it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy that because of this like global pandemic, the fallout, if you like, from it is having, like, as you say, such a negative effect on Amazon and their like the reviews and their sales.
Just unexpected things, like it's like this candle is getting badly reviewed because people can't smell it, but it's not the candle's fault; it's the person's fault, which is just something, people don't realize that you can't always trust your senses. I certainly would never think that it's me, not the candle. I would think the candle's just shit.
Yeah,
it's not my nose.
Okay, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 8 of the top 2020 candle scents. If you want to hear them.
Okay, are we Yankee Candle exclusively, or are we?
No, anything? this is just anything, but it all depends on the scent. So it could be from Yankee, it could be from.
Okay.
What the hell is another candle maker? I don't know.
Candles.
Candles.
Yankee Candle. Do you remember Yankee Candles?
Yankee Candles, I do remember those. But here are your top scents. So this is for all you aromatherapy geeks like ourselves out there that enjoy a good scent. Here are your top in no particular order: citron blossom, cassis, beechwood and sea spray, whatever that is, huckleberry sugar blossom, amber and vanilla, red currant, water lily and hyacinth, sparkling citron and oak barrel vanilla, and Indonesian patchouli amber. Now, I've heard of that patchouli before. Apparently, that's a really nice scent, but I don't know what it is. So,
me neither.
I'll get us a nice couple of oils or something, or
essential
candles.
Oils.
Yeah,
right now. Black cherry isn't up there, Chris. That is my go-to number one goat when it comes to candles.
Black cherry.
I love it. Yeah.
My go-to is what do you call that? Shea butter.
What is that?
Shea butter. I don't know. It's like, if you ever visit the Yankee Candle store, it's like the little white one, and you get shea butter in like an awful lot of. I say it's a little white one, like there's hundreds of white ones, but shea butter is like a key component in a lot of like moisturizers and body washes and stuff. But it just smells clean and like almost like vanilla. Like, I don't even know if it is, but it's delicious.
Yeah,
it's like moisturizing.
I'm kind of getting a bit of an idea of this. If we had smell-o-vision enabled, now would be the time to smell.
It really would.
This isn't official news, just something I did read about during the week, and I didn't think about it until this moment.
Yeah.
Smell-o-vision is becoming a thing.
How
in
so?
The VR world.
Right.
So, basically, and I don't really have any information about this, I was just watching a video about this, and I looked into it a little bit. Basically, for VR experiences, there is a system. It's basically like 6 or 7 little tubs of like essential oils that are like hooked into this fan system, and they can blend, like they can increase like the potency of each one by increasing the fans, and they kind of waft over to where you're sitting, or if you're standing playing VR. But the examples that we saw were like someone like climbing on like a rock face, and as they got closer to the waterfall, the scent of water, like flowing water, was like sent towards them.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
There's other things like, I think the other one that they said was amazing was like kind of if you walk into a room, and it was like a room with like coffee and like kind of like it was like a workshop or something like that, and this is you could smell coffee. Like you walk into the room, you could smell coffee. It was like crazy.
That's super cool.
But yeah, that could potentially be probably a long way off in the future, but like
it's funny you say that.
Only ever be. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But the last time I visited Orlando, I was at Disney, and I rode the I forget the name of it now. It's the Avatar virtual roller coaster thing. It's not Flight of the Banshee or something. You're on a Banshee, I think. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But you sit in like this virtual, it looks like a motorbike basically, but you're on a Banshee, and it's swooping and looping, and you're kind of surrounded by this big screen. Anyway, as you go through these different kind of settings, they blow, as you say, like this mix, this blend of like, it must be like essential oils and mists and stuff towards you. It is so cool. Like, as you said, there was the water scent. Then you go like to the seaside, and there's like it just smells like the seaside. Mm-hmm. We went into like a cave, and it was like a moldy kind of smell. It was so fucking good, and it is up there as the best roller coaster I've ever been on. So
that's class. Yeah. That's that like extra level of immersion.
That's what they're going. There's
for.
Those 4D cinemas that do that as well.
Like spray shit at you and like move shit around. This is good. You can do this apparently from the comfort of your own home.
That's
for only like $250, I think is how much it costs.
Wow.
And obviously you have to buy your oils and stuff as well. But
yeah, cool.
Hey,
excellent.
If that's something that intrigues you, look that up. Smell-o-vision. I forget what it's actually called. We'll try and link it in the show notes, I guess.
Yeah, I'll just write down Smell-o-vision.
Smell-o-vision is just look it up. You're fine. If you've been trying to get a PlayStation 5 lately, Chris, you've probably been struggling.
Like most of the world, yes.
Like the entirety of the world.
Yeah.
According to Sony CEO, Sony Interactive Entertainment CEO Jim Ryan, everything is sold. Absolutely everything is sold. I've spent much of the last year trying to be sure that we can generate enough demand for the product, and now, in terms of my executive bandwidth, I'm spending a lot more time on trying to increase supply to meet that demand.
Right.
So they are sold out. They literally have sold everything that they intended, that they thought they could sell, and demand is still calling for more.
Like
some Amazon customers, however, in Australia, received their PlayStation 5s and were met with dismay, because instead of a PlayStation 5, they received pots, pans, kitchen appliances, and like other random toys in their boxes where they were expecting a PlayStation 5.
What? How did this happen, or what's that about?
People are suspecting it's been stolen in transit, and a lot of eyes are looking at the delivery people, delivery staff. Yeah,
it's got out of hand, isn't it?
Yeah, like that's just how like in demand these things are. Like, and scalpers putting them up for hundreds of dollars. But imagine being that person waiting. Like, I actually got it. I got in, beat the bots, got it pre-ordered. It's coming. You're tracking on your phone. And you get a fucking frying pan instead.
I know. I actually heard. I've heard a rumor this week that that Tesco, our local Tesco in Monaghan, they have shut, because they're in the south or whatever. They, in their store, they shut down the clothing, the electronics, the homeware, all that for a couple of weeks there. So it was literally only Tesco groceries was the only thing that you could purchase, and because of that. They had a select number of PS5s arrive at that time that they've been holding in the back, and now when they reopen again on Monday or Tuesday or whatever it is, those PS5s are going to be good to go. So I can only imagine the chaos that would ensue if they have PS5s.
They're probably I imagine they don't have a lot. Like,
no, very very limited.
They might, but like if they only had like maybe a few hundred, or even like 100,
even if
like those things are gone. Like, those things are gone.
Yeah. I think they'd be lucky to get 100. Like, but
it's pretty crazy. Like,
it's fucking nuts, man. It's gonna be a while before we get our hands on one of those bad boys.
I do got another couple of pieces of news. I'll try and sort of fly through them. I didn't think we'd talk about scents for as long as we did.
Yeah.
So here's just like.
Yeah.
Like this is the universe conspiring just to make things a little bit easier for 2020, I think. A police officer has been sacked after scanning a 7p carrot in order to get a box of donuts.
I seen this article during the week. Insane.
So police and their donuts, like,
I think he said it was an honest mistake. He genuinely didn't know that he had scanned the carrots.
Well, here's the thing. The tray of 12 donuts he bought alongside some carrots, a sandwich, and a drink. No, so I'm not really sure what the carrots were doing in sort of that mix.
Yeah, that's a weird kind of.
He scanned the carrot. Yeah, it's that makes me a little bit more suspicious that he just took the carrots and get a cheap fucking. But he scanned the carrots barcode twice and failed to scan the donuts, paying £4 for the items instead of about £14 for the items.
Shit,
so
there's a bit of a difference there. You don't cop on to the actual amount you're paying. I've heard of people doing this before with electronics and stuff, though. Even consoles and stuff, you know, they just scan in like a punnet of grapes and walk out with a PS4. You know, so.
They make you weigh it though, don't they? I was like, how do they get away with that? Like,
how do they get away with that?
Hey.
See what I did there? I have a quick piece of local news, Dee, if you want to hear. A man, a County Armagh man, Declan, what's his name? Declan Halfpenny, was left speechless after winning an iconic DeLorean car.
Whoa.
Yeah, made famous thanks to the 1980s classic film Back to the Future, worth $40,000 plus $70,000 in cash thanks to an online car competition. Can you imagine that?
That's class.
Yeah. So he was from Craigavon. He was at home, and the company is called BOTB. Christian Williams was the guy who was working at BOTB. Called him to give him the good news that he was the winner and had scooped the iconic DeLorean DMC-12. The car comes with gull-wing doors, brushed stainless steel exterior, and a rear-mounted engine. Just no flux capacitor.
Gull-wing doors.
Yeah.
That's such a cool description of
That's
that.
really cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well,
DeLoreans, of course, were like designed and perhaps built in Northern Ireland.
were they?
They were. So it's a little bit closer to home. So
Look at you blowing my mind every day, Dee, with just outrageous facts.
There you go, all the DeLorean fanatics out there.
Come
visit the home of DeLorean.
I mean, so was Titanic, but we all know how that story ended.
Come visit for that as well. Yeah, we don't actually have any of it here. All we have is the place it was built, and you know that's literally like that's all we did is we built it. Like we weren't involved in any of the of the stuff that happened after. Like it's such a strange thing to say. Like we have literally claimed it to fame. We have a quarter in Belfast called the Titanic Quarter.
Full quarter, full museum, full state of the art exhibition hall.
You know, is there any other part of the world which is like dedicated a portion of their city to a tragedy where 1,200 people died?
Well,
like in New York, they don't have like do they have the Twin Tower Quarter? I know they have the memorial, but like I guess Titanic happened a lot longer ago, so it's probably less tactless. Like, but it's crazy. Like
right.
It's our claim to fame.
Right now, where were the first? Well, I mean, don't they have in Paris? They have the like one of the Concorde planes, like a big model on display, and they were built there, and they all went fucking tits up at one point too.
Yeah, that's true. That's fair, actually.
But I get what you're saying though. Like it's like they built it. Like steelworkers built it in Belfast.
Yeah.
And
they built like hundreds and hundreds of ships. You know.
Yeah. And this is our claim to fame. Yeah, built by a lot of Liverpudlians and English as well. It just happened to be in Ireland.
Don't forget it. Yeah.
Just we had a dock that was free, and I was like, "Fuck it, we'll just build it there."
They won the contract. That was it. They won the contract. They built it. But yeah, like it is. Yeah, we do. It is where it was built, and there is a good museum on it and stuff if you want to come visit.
Ireland love grabbing things and holding on to dear life. Like this is ours. You know,
we don't have much.
Exactly,
we don't have much.
Yeah.
I was looking up like famous people from Ireland. We have actors and stuff like that, but like no one no one has created anything amazing from Ireland really.
Like if I said if I said to you, D, name like the most famous Irish people that you can think of off the top of your head, who would you give me?
See, I'd probably levitate towards actresses.
That's exactly where I go to. Maybe Seamus Heaney, the poet, but I don't know how famous he actually is. That's a good one, actually. You know,
he would be famous, yeah, like, but not in like all circles. Like some people just would never, if you're not into like poetry or whatever,
exactly.
Not even poetry, but like literature, you just never heard of him.
Yeah, actors, actresses. But I can't think of like another person who's kind of sports.
Everyone write in
people. Yeah.
Everyone write in
if
your most famous Irish person you can think of.
Yeah.
or who the world would know as like the Irish person. It's McGregor. That's who it is today.
Fuck yeah, right
actually,
now, yeah.
That's who it is going to be.
Just because he's probably one of the
renowned.
biggest influencers from Ireland, I guess. But here, that wouldn't make a bad topic, D, where we study the Irish history a little bit.
Yeah, that's true, actually, because despite the fact we didn't really... The reason we probably haven't done like much on a world scale is because like no one actually stays in Ireland. They all leave.
Yes,
everyone emigrates.
We've emigrated a lot, D. We've emigrated a lot.
So a lot of our potential discoveries and creation we lost because the person who like did it like moved, and then that was lost. Now it's an American invention. God damn it.
But I mean, this is the thing. Like most of a lot of famous people around the world, all trace back to Irish ancestry, if you like.
Yeah.
You ever see that picture of like I think I spoke of this before, the bunker where Barack Obama and Clinton and Biden were sitting whenever Osama bin Laden was killed. You know that famous picture?
Yeah, okay.
Well, apparently everybody in that picture is of Irish heritage or descent.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
You know what I mean? So, yeah.
I guess if you go back far enough, like...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, probably. Yeah. But yeah, that could be good for us.
Although, yeah, Obama, he came home to Offaly, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Had a pint of Guinness, you know. That's where he's from. That's where he hails from.
He's an awfully nice man, D.
Oh, he is indeed, sir.
Sorry, you've gone out of focus on me.
Oh, have I?
Yeah, sorry.
I've gone out of focus because I've lost focus, Chris, in this little chat.
Oh, sorry.
Once again, we are way off on a tangent.
Yeah, well, do you know what?
I forget the original piece of news.
People love tangents, though. People fucking love tangents. The original piece of news was the guy who won the DeLorean.
Oh, yeah.
We went to Titanic.
God, I hope they
famous people.
Well, people better enjoy the tangents because they're
I
getting
tell you what,
today.
do you know who else is of Irish heritage or descendants? Jeffrey Dahmer.
There you go.
It's
the good and the bad.
It's all related. It's all coming back.
Yeah. It's not a tangent, it's a segue. That's what it was. Before we do move on, I have two more pieces of news that I better cover.
Yep.
One of them is just like so weird. I know you love this.
Oh, of course.
A strange metal monolith has been discovered in the Utah desert.
That was my last piece of news too.
Oh, was it? Oh,
yeah,
excellent.
This is terrific. Yeah, I'm so glad you touched on this. Brilliant. Yes.
Just a metal
yeah.
rectangle? Like,
yeah.
What is this thing?
It looks like
cuboid?
It looks like a large mirror when I first seen the picture.
Yeah.
Just like a behind the door mirror, you know, like a big large one, just in the middle of the Utah desert.
Just standing there.
It's crazy.
Amid these like big red rocks. Like
yeah.
those like, you know, imagine 147 hours type setting.
Yeah.
And this shimmering metal object mysteriously stood there in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
12 foot tall.
It's crazy. Like, so have they come up with who put it there? No. Okay. But it hasn't been there forever. That's the thing, yeah?
Yeah, some people... the internet, of course, managed to work this out. So, like, Google Earth, there was, like, images taken in 2015 and then more images taken in 2016. And in 2016, you can see, like, a shadow cast by something.
Okay.
Which they suspect is the monolith.
It's crazy that it's even been there.
And using that, actually...
from there. Yeah.
I know, yeah, it hasn't been seen since, you know, in all that time, but since then, since the coordinates were kind of, like, discovered, various people have went there already, despite... the authorities who discovered it intentionally did not give up the coordinates because they were afraid people would go out into the middle of the desert looking for it and die.
Get lost,
because
die,
people, yeah. People would not be, you know, the kind of people who want to go find this are not the same people who'd be prepared for a trip to the desert.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of crossover there. But, yeah, there's just... It is kind of crazy, and especially when you see people standing up close to it, like, we should put a link in the video description or the show notes or whatever. But like, it is so tall. It's weird looking. It's about twice the height of a man.
Yep.
Well, not quite. Nearly twice the height of a man.
I've just wrote it down in the show notes. I'll link that picture in the description of the podcast if you want to take a look at that. That along with what
you know, like
smell-o-vision is.
Yeah. it's got to be aliens, though, right?
It has to be aliens. There's no other logical explanation. The aliens have put it there.
If you're going to tell me that a person put that there, you're batshit insane.
I mean, Bob Lazar, in his documentary, said that the crafts and stuff that he was once working on, supposedly, were buried and were unearthed after thousands and thousands of years. So, who's to say this wasn't buried?
This is an antenna.
Ooh,
potentially
antenna.
Yeah,
excellent.
Yeah. There is one guy who's been, I was supposed to say blamed, but sorry, what was his name? I will just grab that really quick because I do have it.
This is important stuff, D. This is important.
Sorry. So it is John McCracken. The late John McCracken is suspected to be, one of the people who could have behind it. He died in 2011, though.
Okay. John McCracken.
So they're saying it could have been people paying homage to him because it's similar to other pieces of work that he'd done.
Okay.
But
what is he, an art? Is he an artist or something?
Yeah, he was an artist. Okay. I forget what you call it, like the type of art, but it's like kind of like,
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Putting things out into the world that aren't meant to like last forever. Land art. Just kind of put things into the natural surroundings.
Yeah, that's cool.
But weird.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. Yeah,
I love shit like that.
Yeah. You got some of the caging the beast news for me.
We will cage the beast.
Yeah,
to finish
let's
up
cage him up.
The news. Because he needs to be caged because he is insane, batshit.
Can I say though that like we've been doing Caging the Beast we started with the Cage news from we came back in episode I think it was like the Loch Ness Monster, which was like 100, episode 100. This is like
that was like 90 something.
Oh, was it?
Was it not?
So it's nearly 13 weeks of just constant Nick Cage news. It amazes me that there is this much news about Nick Cage.
I mean, yeah, some weeks we kind of have been reaching or using older pieces of news.
Absolutely.
But like, there's always something Nick Cage related that's happened in the world that we can talk about and discuss. Mm-hmm. And today it kind of falls into that category. It's like not necessarily Nick Cage himself, but Nick Cage related. I've talked before about his newest project, The Unbearable Weight of a Massive Talent, which will see Nicolas Cage playing Nicolas Cage at long last. See him playing himself, desperate to get a role in a new Tarantino movie.
It's what the world has wanted.
It's what the world has needed.
Yeah,
Chris. Yeah. The world has needed. In a long-standing battle against one of the largest criminal organizations in Europe, Nick Cage has to kind of stand off against him to save the daughter of a Mexican billionaire. So it's fine. It's fine. The news today is that Neil Patrick Harris has been added to the cast for this project, which gives it like it's got quite a few big names in it now.
Neil Patrick Harris, who you may know from How I Met Your Mother.
Pretty much, that's the only place I would really know from How I Met Your Mother.
He's Barney from How I Met Your Mother. Yeah,
Barney Stinson, the man himself.
He's also in A Million Ways to Die in the West. If you've ever seen that movie,
I've seen the start of it and I hated it.
Did you hate it?
First time I could not stand it. Like
first time I watched it, I didn't like it. Second time I watched it, I laughed a good bit more. Although I was slightly drunker the second time I watched it, so
fair.
Maybe that adds up. Yeah, it was like the second Ted movie. I fucking hated it.
I haven't seen it. Didn't bother with it.
Don't.
I won't, Chris. Thank you for
that. That is some solid fucking news this week, D.
Listen, it's a big movie that's going to come out. This Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. I'm actually really excited for it because I think it's going to be like excellent.
Yeah.
But yeah, MPH is going to be in it.
Good.
Has been added to the cast.
Good.
It brings the cast. They have described it as a star-studded ensemble, Chris. Tiffany Haddish, Nicolas Cage.
Who's Tiffany Haddish?
Patrick Harris. I have no idea, but apparently she's a star.
I'm again, a quick Google search will tell me who Tiffany Haddish is. Isn't the internet wonderful?
Oh, it's terrific, Chris. Also, Pedro Pascal playing, I think the Mexican billionaire. I suspect.
Oh, okay.
Who's also, you'll know him from, if you have been watching The Mandalorian, as the star of that show, I believe.
So Tiffany Haddish is most known for her role in oh shit, where was it? No, I've lost it. She done a lot of voices in animated movies, the Lego Movie 2, SpongeBob movie, Sponge on the Run. She's in The Unbearable Weight of Mass and Talent, which is filming.
Would it be fair to say it's a bit of a reach to describe her as a star?
I think it's the biggest reach to describe her. She's been in a lot of music videos. The Carmichael Show. Yeah. Sorry, the Carmichael Show, which is a TV series on maybe Amazon or maybe like Apple or some shit like that. I'm not quite sure. Girls Trip. If you've ever seen the film Girls Trip, she played Dina. But honestly, I don't even know. She was in It's Always Sunny.
Oh, okay.
She was also in My Name Is Earl. So she's done a bit, but I don't even.
Yeah, she's done a bit. What's her name again? Now I gotta look at
Tiffany Haddish.
I asked you what's her name. I was only calling her.
Yeah, so TIFFANYHADDISH. Yeah, I don't. Oh, she was in Night School as well. Oh yeah, she was the main girl in Night School, the main black woman in Night School. Oh, okay. She's the teacher, I think. Yeah, she's the teacher in Night School. If you've ever seen that with Kevin Hart, it's
there you go, folks.
It's okay.
Tiffany Haddish.
It's an okay movie.
Haddish.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
We got it. We got Nick Cage caged and safe for another week.
Safe. Excellent. That was the news that we bring you each and every week. We hope you enjoyed that and our little tangents as well. I think it's about time that we got ready to delve into the main topic of this week. What do you think?
I wholeheartedly agree.
Excellent. So before we do, though, I wanted to do a quick recap because it's a big topic. I don't just want to jump straight in. Let's get a little background on what's actually been going on here with Mr. Jeffrey Dahmer. Last week we began to talk about him. Jeffrey Dahmer was an American serial killer. In the 1970s, 80s. I always get this wrong. 80s, I think it was.
Yeah, 78 is when he started.
Yeah. Known as the Milwaukee Monster. His kind of killings involve like necrophilia, pedophilia, cannibalism, the preservation of human remains. He's a really kind of bad dude.
It's a bad guy.
Yeah, guy had a kind of rough upbringing. Not really a rough upbringing, but he was kind of never really acknowledged by his mother and father, could you say?
Mm-hmm.
And he had a strange fascination with dismembering animals and dead animals and corpses and things like that. And this kind of progressed and got worse as he grew. He eventually killed his first victim, Stephen Hicks, who was a hitchhiker. Killed him, and that didn't really satisfy the what do you call that? Like not the instinct, like not the lust, but the craving, the killing craving. Would you say?
Yeah, that's
didn't really satisfy that, and he just kept going with his killings. He would lure. Specifically men. He killed men. He was homosexual himself, although never really admitted to it. He lived out of his grandmother's basement, and he would lure homosexual men from gay bars, nightclubs, and kind of rough areas of the town where he lived, with the promise of money for taking some pictures, some maybe nude pictures of them. And once he got them back to the house, he would then drug them. He would strangle them, and then he would dismember them, keep some of their flesh, put them in barrels with like acid and stuff. Then he would
try to preserve their bones.
Bones and skulls. Yeah. Really, really bad, dude. And where we left off last time, he had just committed the killing of Tuomi, I think was the last one we got to. So I'll read the last paragraph that we finished on last week, and then we'll move on from there. How's about that?
Sounds good.
Okay, so following the murder of David Thomas, he persuaded David Thomas to return to his apartment for a few drinks with additional money offer if he would pose for photographs. In his statement to police after his arrest, Dahmer stated that after giving Thomas a drink laden with sedatives, he did not feel attracted to him, but was afraid to allow him to awake in case he would be angry over having been drugged. Therefore, he strangled and dismembered the body of Thomas, intentionally retaining no body parts whatsoever. He photographed the entire dismemberment process and retained these photographs, which later aided in being able to identify Thomas as a victim. Following the murder of Thomas, Dahmer did not kill anyone for almost 5 months. He unsuccessfully attempted to lure more men to his apartment, and he is known during this time to have regularly complained of feelings of both anxiety and depression to his probation officer throughout 1990, with frequent references to his sexuality, his solitary lifestyle, and financial difficulties. On several occasions, Dahmer is also known to have referred to harboring suicidal thoughts. So we arrive now in February of 1991 D is where we're at now.
91, that's like, it's been like 10, 11 years of just like, he's been active out killing people.
I've actually lost count of the amount of victims we're at this point.
I was about to say as well, like, I mean, surely he's like a bit of a boogeyman in like the gay community, because like he keeps showing up, taking people home, and they just are never seen again. Like, people have to, like, although we did say it was kind of an area of time where like a lot of drifters kind of blow in.
That's exactly it. Yeah,
it's kind of crazy how like he got the numbers are like significant, like 10 to 20 people. Like,
it's absolutely insane. So that was kind of a quick recap of part 1. We're going to jump into part 2 now. These are the 1991 killings and further story of Jeffery Dahmer, the monster of Milwaukee. In February 1991, Dahmer observed a 17-year-old named Curtis Straughter standing at a bus stop near Marquette University. According to Dahmer, he lured Straughter to his apartment with an offer for money for posing for nude photos, with the added incentive of sexual intercourse. Dahmer drugged and strangled Straughter with a leather strap, then dismembered him, with Dahmer retaining the youth's skull, hands, and genitals and photographing each stage of the dismemberment process. Less than 2 months later, on April 7th, Dahmer encountered a 19-year-old named Errol Lindsay walking to get a key cut. Lindsay was heterosexual. Dahmer lured Lindsay to his apartment, where he drugged him, then drilled a hole in his skull and poured hydrochloric acid into it. According to
what?
Yeah, he starts getting kind of really fucking crazy with the shit that he's trying to do, and we'll kind of discuss why this is in just a little bit. Well, why people think he kind of went down this road. According to Dahmer, Lindsay awoke after this experiment, which Dahmer had conceived in the hope of inducing a permanent, unresistant, submissive state. So this was the thing with Dahmer. All of his victims, he drugged and he performed whatever kind of rituals or whatever you want to call it on them while they were sedated. He had this thing with like corpse-like bodies, a very necrophilia kind of. It was his necrophilia side. This now is where he's going with it. He's trying to drill into a certain part of the brain and pour acid into it, to bring these men into this completely unresistant. Basically, they're vegetables, and he can kind of do whatever he wants. But they're still alive, which is just weird. Lindsay stated after waking, "I have a headache. What time is it?" In response to this, Dahmer again drugged Lindsay, then strangled him. He decapitated Lindsay and retained his skull. He then flayed Lindsay's body, placing the skin in a solution of cold water and salt for several weeks in the hope of permanently retaining it. Reluctantly, he disposed of Lindsay's skin when he noted it had become too frayed and brittle. So by 1991, fellow residents of the Oxford apartments had repeatedly complained to the building's manager of the foul smells emanating from the apartment 213. in addition to the sounds of falling objects and the occasional sound of a chainsaw. Like, at what point do you not, like, you're living in fucking, like, these little apartments, at what point, like repeated sounds of a chainsaw, why do you wait so fucking long before reporting something like that, you know?
That is fucked up, like.
The building manager did contact Dahmer in response to these complaints on several occasions, although he initially excused the odors emanating from his apartment as being caused by his freezer breaking, causing the contents to become spoiled. On later occasions, he informed Prince Will, this is the building manager, that the reason for the resurgence of the odor was that several of his tropical fish had recently died, and that he would take care of the matter.
Jesus Christ, like.
So, on the afternoon of May 26th, 1991, Dahmer encountered a 14-year-old Lao teenager named Konorak Synthasmophone. Sorry, I'm going to get this right. Synthasmophone. We're just going to call him Konorak, okay? By his first name, on Wisconsin Avenue. By coincidence, he was the younger brother of the boy who Dahmer had molested in 1988. He approached the youth with an offer of money to accompany him to the apartment to pose for Polaroid pictures. According to Dahmer, Konorak was initially reluctant to the proposal, before changing his mind, accompanying Dahmer to his apartment, where the youth posed for 2 pictures in his underwear before Dahmer drugged him into unconsciousness and performed oral sex on him. On this occasion, Dahmer drilled a single hole into the youth's skull, through which he injected hydrochloric acid into the frontal lobe before the youth fell unconscious.
Before the youth fell unconscious?
Yeah.
So he was like awake?
Yeah. Oh, no, sorry. Before the youth fell unconscious, Dahmer led the boy into his bedroom. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Where the body of 31-year-old Tony Hughes, who Dahmer had killed 3 days earlier, lay naked on the floor.
So the kid saw
the body? According to Dahmer, he believed that the kid saw this body, yet did not react to seeing the bloated corpse, likely because of the effects the sleeping pills he had ingested and the hydrochloric acid Dahmer had injected through his skull. Synthasmophone soon became unconscious, whereupon Dahmer drank several beers while laying alongside him before leaving his apartment to drink at a bar and then purchase more alcohol. So this kid is alive but unconscious, lying on Dahmer's bed. Dahmer leaves to go to the bar to have some more beers, and there's also another dead body lying on the floor beside this kid. In the early morning hours of May 27th, Dahmer returned towards his apartment to discover Synthasmophone sitting outside, naked on the corner of 25th and State, talking in Lao, with 3 distressed young women standing near him. Dahmer approached the women and told them then that this young guy was his friend, and attempted to lead him to his apartment by the arm. The 3 women dissuaded Dahmer, explaining that they had already phoned 911.
Oh dear.
Upon the arrival of 2 Milwaukee police officers, John Balzarak and Joseph Gabrish, Dahmer's demeanor relaxed. He told the officers that this kid was his 19-year-old boyfriend, and that he had drank too much following a quarrel, and that he frequently behaved in this manner when intoxicated. The 3 women were exasperated, and when one of the trio attempted to indicate to one of the officers that this child was bleeding from his buttocks, and that he had seemingly struggled against Dahmer's attempt to walk him into the apartment, the officer harshly informed her to butt out and shut the hell up, not to interfere,
Jesus.
adding that this incident was domestic. So a quick side note on this has actually been regarded as one of the most, one of the biggest cases of like negligence and incompetence in like policing like ever. I've read a couple.
It's like a really common thing for all these serial killers. There's nearly always a case where a police officer did something stupid. Like, I think Ted Bundy This happened. He escaped prison a bunch of times. He escaped the police a bunch of times. This happened. This happens like all the fucking time. Like, police officers back then just were not like.
No.
I guess they weren't conditioned to like deal with this type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But like, how do you mistake a 14-year-old boy for a 19-year-old man?
I know.
First off,
I know.
Part of me thinks so for this, like maybe the fact that because they're back at this time, like gay relationships wouldn't have been like super common. Maybe the police were just kind of like, oh, okay, we don't really understand this. It's domestic.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's that, and on top of it, like officers, like as soon as it's domestic, like officers, I'm assuming just they don't want to get involved. Do you know what I mean? They just rather let the parties kind of just deal with it themselves, kind of thing, you know. Against the protests of the three women, the officers simply sent the some phone with a towel and walked him into Dahmer's apartment, where in an effort to verify his claim that he and Cynthia Phone were lovers, Dahmer showed the officers the two semi-nude Polaroid pictures he had taken of the youth the previous evening. The officers later reported having noticed a strange scent reminiscent of excrement inside the apartment. This odour emanating from the decomposing body of Hughes, which lay in the next room. Dahmer stated that to investigate this, one officer simply peeked his head around the corner of the bedroom but did not really take a good look. The officers then left with a departing remark that Dahmer take good care of Cynthia Phone.
That's ridiculous.
It is absolutely ludicrous that this happened.
They were in the apartment, smelt this unusual smell, checked the room, but like just glanced into it.
Yeah.
So missed a fucking decomposing body. Didn't believe that a 14-year-old boy should not be with a... What is he now? He must be in his 30s.
Dahmer, yeah, he is, yeah.
Like, fucking hell.
On top of that, had Balcazar and Garbus conducted a background check on Dahmer, which was their jobs, it would have revealed that he was a convicted child molester under probation at this time. Upon the departure of the two officers from this apartment, Dahmer again injected hydrochloric acid into Cynthia Phone's brain. On the second occasion, the injection proved fatal. The following day, May 28th, Dahmer took a day's leave from work to devote himself to the dismemberment of the bodies of Cynthia Phone and Hughes, and he retained both of these victims' skulls. It's so frustrating because it like that could have been it over. It was so close. And just complete negligence on the officer's part. Like on June 30th,
that's fucking awful, man.
On June 30th, Dahmer traveled to Chicago, where he encountered a 20-year-old named Matt Turner at a bus station. Turner accepted Dahmer's offer to travel to Milwaukee for a professional photo shoot. At the apartment, Dahmer drugged, strangled, and dismembered Turner and placed his head and internal organs in a separate plastic bag in the freezer. Turner was not reported missing. 5 days later, on July 5th, Dahmer lured 23-year-old Jeremiah Weinberger from a Chicago bar to his apartment on the promise of spending the weekend with him. He drugged Weinberger and twice injected boiling water through his skull, sending him into a coma from which he died 2 days later.
Just injecting into the brain stuff, but it's not...
It's taking a real turn, isn't it?
It's freaking me out a bit, but...
On July 15th, Dahmer encountered another 24-year-old, Oliver Lacey, at the corner of 27th and Kilbourne. Lacey agreed to Dahmer's ruse of posing nude for photographs and accompanied him to his apartment, with the pair engaged in tentative sexual activity before Dahmer drugged Lacey. On this occasion, Dahmer intended to prolong the time he spent with Lacey while alive. After unsuccessfully attempting to render Lacey unconscious with chloroform, he phoned his workplace to request a day's absence. This was granted, although the next day he was suspended. After strangling Lacey, Dahmer had sex with the corpse before dismembering it. He placed Lacey's head and heart in the refrigerator and his skeleton in the freezer. 4 days later, on July 19th, Dahmer received word that he was fired from his job. Upon receipt of this news, Dahmer lured 25-year-old Joseph Bradhoff to his apartment. Bradhoff was strangled and left lying on Dahmer's bed, covered with a sheet for 2 days.
Jesus Christ.
On July 20th,
He has really ramped up.
It's insane, yeah. On July 21st, Dahmer removed those sheets to find the head covered in maggots, whereupon he decapitated the body, cleaned the head, and placed it in the refrigerator. He later acidified Brad Hoff's torso along with 2 other victims killed within the previous month. So, as you say, yeah, he has really ramped things up for like these 1991 killings.
This is insane.
He's really going out on one. And like, can you imagine though, like the smell of that apartment? Like all these fucking decomposing bodies.
And it sounds like he's keeping these bodies for longer and longer and longer.
He is,
as well.
yeah. I don't know if this is like a what way would you put this? Like if it's even like a sexual thing where he's keeping the bodies, or if it's like the thrill of having like a dead body there, or what it is, or if he's just genuinely not getting around to his dismemberment process. But yeah, as you say, like
it sounds like he has to take a day off work, so maybe he's like batching it. He's like, I'll keep all these bodies until I get a day and doing them all at once or something.
That's a fucking horrible thought to eat that right there.
Yeah,
like batching bodies to dismember. Yeah, that's terrible.
I know, it's fucking crazy.
Well, we're approaching his downfall, so. On July 22nd, 1991, Dahmer approached 3 men with an offer of $100 to accompany him to his apartment to pose for nude photographs, drink beer, and simply keep him company. One of the trio, 32-year-old Tracy Edwards, agreed to accompany him to his apartment. Upon entering Dahmer's apartment, Edwards noted a foul odor and several boxes of hydrochloric acid on the floor, which Dahmer claimed to use for cleaning bricks. After some minor conversation, Edwards responded to Dahmer's request to turn his head and view his tropical fish, whereupon Dahmer placed a handcuff upon his wrist. When Edwards asked, "What's happening?" Dahmer unsuccessfully attempted to cuff his wrists together, then told Edwards to accompany him to the bedroom to pose for nude pictures. While inside the bedroom, Edwards noted nude meal posters on the wall and that a videotape of The Exorcist 3 was playing. He also noted a blue 57-gallon drum in the corner from which a strong odor emanated. Dahmer then brandished a knife and informed Edwards he intended to take nude pictures of him. In an attempt to appease Dahmer, Edwards unbuttoned his shirt, saying he would allow him to do so if he would remove the handcuffs and put the knife away. In response to this promise, Dahmer simply turned his attention towards the TV. Edwards observed Dahmer rocking back and forth and chanting before turning his attention back to him. He placed his head on Edwards' chest, listened to his heartbeat, and with the knife pressed against his intended victim, informed Edwards he intended to eat his heart.
Jesus Christ.
In continuous attempts to prevent Dahmer from attacking him, Edwards repeated that he was Dahmer's friend and that he was not going to run away. Edwards had decided he was going to either jump from a window or run through the unlocked open front door when the next available opportunity presented itself. So finally, somebody with a bit of fucking sense is thinking, I gotta get out of here.
It sounds like he hasn't drugged him. Like everyone else he drugged. This guy hasn't been drugged. This guy is like...
Yeah, true.
Has his senses available to him. I don't know why Dahmer hasn't done this. He's probably getting more, what do you call that? Like, getting that more egregiousness. He's trying to get braver, kind of get why I can get away with what I can make you do, kind of thing.
Exactly. When Edwards next stated he needed to use the bathroom, he asked if they could sit with a beer in the living room, where there was air conditioning. Dahmer consented to this, and the pair walked to the living room when Edwards exited the bathroom. Inside the living room, Edwards waited until he observed Dahmer having a momentary lapse of concentration before requesting to use the bathroom again. When Edwards rose from the couch, he noted Dahmer was not holding the handcuffs, whereupon Edwards punched him in the face, knocking Dahmer off balance and ran out the front door. At 11:30 p.m. on July 22nd, Edwards flagged down 2 Milwaukee police officers, Robert Routh and Rolf Mueller, at the corner of North 25th Street. The officers noted Edwards had a handcuff attached to his wrist, whereupon he explained to the officers that a freak had placed the handcuffs on him and asked if the police could remove them. When the officers' handcuff keys failed to fit the brand of handcuffs, Edwards agreed to accompany the officers to the apartment where Edwards stated he had spent the previous 5 hours before escaping. When the officers and Edwards arrived at the apartment 213, Dahmer invited the trio inside and acknowledged that he had indeed placed the handcuffs upon Edwards, although he offered no explanation as to why he had done so. At this point, Edwards divulged to the officers that Dahmer had also brandished a large knife upon him and that this had happened in the bedroom. Dahmer made no comment of this revelation, indicating that one of the officers, Mueller, that the key to the handcuffs was in his bedside dresser. As Mueller entered the bedroom, Dahmer attempted to pass Mueller to himself retrieve the key, whereupon a second officer present, Routh, informed him to back off. In the bedroom, Mueller noticed that there was indeed a large knife beneath the bed. He also saw an open drawer which, upon closer inspection, contained sources of Polaroid pictures, many of which were of human bodies in various stages of dismemberment. Mueller noted the decor indicated that they had been taken in this very apartment where they were standing. Mueller walked into the living room to show them to his partner, uttering the words, "These are for real." When Dahmer saw that Mueller was holding several of his Polaroids, he fought with the officers in an attempt to resist arrest. The officers quickly overpowered him, cuffed his hands behind his back, and called a second squad car for backup. At this point, Mueller opened the refrigerator to reveal the freshly severed head of a black male on the bottom shelf. As Dahmer lay pinned on the floor beneath Routh, he turned his head towards the officers and muttered the words, "For what I did, I should be dead." A more detailed search of the apartment conducted by the Milwaukee Police Criminal Investigation Bureau revealed a total of 4 severed heads in Dahmer's kitchen. A total of 7 skulls, some painted, some bleached, were found in Dahmer's bedroom and inside a closet. In addition, investigators discovered collected blood drippings upon a tray at the bottom of Dahmer's refrigerator, plus 2 human hearts and a portion of arm muscle, each wrapped inside plastic bags upon the shelves.
Jesus Christ.
In Dahmer's freezer, investigators discovered an entire torso, plus a bag of human organs and flesh stuck to the ice at the bottom. Elsewhere in apartment 213, investigators discovered 2 entire skeletons, a pair of severed hands, 2 severed and preserved penises, a mummified scalp, and in the 57-gallon drum, 3 further dismembered torsos dissolving in the acid solution. A total of 74 Polaroid pictures detailing the dismemberment of Dahmer's victims were found. In reference to the recovery of body parts and artifacts at 924 North 25th Street, the chief medical examiner later stated, "It was more like dismantling someone's museum than an actual crime scene."
This is insane.
So, Dahmer has finally been arrested for his
and he has
crime.
an entire collection of proof. I know obviously that's his obsession, is collecting this stuff and keeping it and stuff, but he literally has just given them all the proof in the world for his crimes.
Everything.
From the guy who used to be so diligent and getting rid of everything, getting rid of the dissolving the flesh, crushing the bones, burying them and moving them around.
Crushing the bones, Yeah, he just kind of got almost greedy with the whole thing.
This is it. He ramped up. It must have just something must have just clicked in his head where he's like, I got to do more, and got to keep more. I got to be more daring, and it's kind of I've read about this as well a little bit. In previous other serial killers, they have this they kind of become numb to the sort of the base killings, so they have to do more. To get the same feeling or whatever, the euphoria, whatever they get from it.
The same thrill.
Exactly the same thrill. So, but man, that's some collection.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you imagine the officers opening up the fridge just to see a human head severed just staring back at you? I can't even... I will never understand what that could ever be like. Hopefully nobody will, but Jesus, that's
something
terrible.
You only ever see in a film. They open a fridge and there's a bloody head sitting in it, a human head.
Yeah, this is like Chainsaw Massacre type shit,
Fucking hell.
So, Beginning in the early hours of July 23rd, 1991, Dahmer was questioned by Detective Patrick Kennedy as to the murders he had committed and the evidence found at his apartment. Over the following 2 weeks, Kennedy and later Detective Patrick Murphy conducted numerous interviews with Dahmer, which, when combined, totaled over 60 hours. Dahmer waived his right to have a lawyer present throughout his interrogations, adding he wished to confess all as he had, quote, created this horror and it only makes sense. I do everything to put an end to it. He readily admitted to having murdered 16 young men in Wisconsin since 1987, with one further victim, Stephen Hicks, killed in Ohio back in 1978. Most of Dahmer's victims had been rendered unconscious prior to their murder, although some had died as a result of having acid or boiling water injected into their brain. As he had no memory of the murder of Tuomi, he was unsure whether he was unconscious when beaten to death, although he did concede it was possible that viewing the exposed chest of Tuomi while in drunken stupor may have led him to unsuccessfully attempt to tear Tuomi's heart from his chest. Although almost all the murders Dahmer committed after moving into the Oxford apartments had involved a ritual of posing the victims' bodies in suggestive positions, typically with the chest thrust outwards prior to dismemberment. Dahmer readily admitted to engaging in necrophilia with several of his victims' bodies, including performing sexual acts with their viscera, as he dismembered their bodies in his bathtub. Having noted that much of the blood pooled inside the victim's chest after death, Dahmer first removed their internal organs, then suspended the torso so that the blood drained into his bathtub before dicing any organs he did not wish to retain and paring the flesh from the body. The bones he wished to dispose of were pulverized or acidified with Soilex and bleach solutions used to aid the preservation of skeletons and skulls he wished to keep. In addition, Dahmer confessed to having consumed the hearts, livers, biceps, and portions of thighs of several victims killed within the previous year. So there's cannibalism here as well. Describing the increase in his rate of killing in the 2 months prior to his arrest, Dahmer stated that he had been, quote, completely swept along with his compulsion to kill, adding, quote, it was an incessant and never-ending desire to be with someone at whatever cost. Someone good-looking, really nice-looking. It just filled my thoughts all day long. When asked as to why he preserved a total of 7 skulls with the entire skeletons of 2 victims, Dahmer stated that he had been in the process of constructing a private altar of victims' skulls, which he had intended to display on the black table located in his living room, and upon which he had photographed the bodies of many of his victims. This display of skulls was to be adorned at each side with the complete skeletons of Miller and Lacey. The 4 severed heads were found in his kitchen were to be removed of all flesh and used in this altar, as was the skull of at least one future victim. Incense sticks were to be placed at each end of the black table, above which Dahmer intended to place a large blue lamp with extending blue globe lights. The entire construction was to be placed before a window covered with black opaque shower curtain, in front of which Dahmer intended to sit in a black leather chair. When asked in a November 18th, 1991 interview who the altar was dedicated to, Dahmer replied, quote, myself. It was a place where I could feel at home. He further described his intended altar as, quote, a place for meditation, from where he believed he could draw a sense of power, adding, quote, if this, or his arrest, had happened 6 months later, that's what they would have found.
That's mad.
So he was in the process of building almost, not say satanic because it wasn't satanic, but a fucking altar and throne to himself to which he could sit.
It's insane, like
absolutely crazy.
Gain power, like spiritual power.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yep.
So weird.
So on July 25th, 1991, Dahmer was charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder. By August 22nd, he had been charged with a further 11. By August 22nd, he had been charged with a further 11 murders committed in Wisconsin. And on September 14th, investigators in Ohio, having uncovered hundreds of bone fragments in woodland behind the address in which Dahmer had confessed to killing his first victim, formally identified 2 molars and vertebrae with X-ray records of Hicks. 3 days later, Dahmer was charged by authorities in Ohio with Hicks murder. So even though that was fucking years ago, they still managed to find molars and like skull or bone fragments, which I think is absolutely insane. Like that shit just never goes away.
Doesn't matter, even if you're like super diligent and like crushing everything and all that there. Yeah.
So Dahmer was not charged with the attempted murder of Edwards, nor with the murder of Tuomi. He was not charged with Tuomi's murder because the Milwaukee County District Attorney only brought charges where murder could be proven beyond a reasonable doubt, and Dahmer had no memory of actually committing this murder himself, for which no physical evidence of the crime existed. At a scheduled preliminary hearing on January 13th, 1992, Dahmer pleaded guilty but insane to 15 counts of murder. So his trial then began on January 13th, 1992. He was trialed in Milwaukee for the 15 counts of first-degree murder before Judge Lawrence Graham. By pleading guilty on January 13th to the charges brought against him, Dahmer had waived his rights to an initial trial to establish guilt, which is defined in Wisconsin law. The issue debated by opposing counsels at Dahmer's trial was to determine whether he suffered from either a mental or personality disorder. So that's basically what his trial is about now, because he's already said, look, I've done it, I'm guilty. So the whole trial was to establish whether or not he was insane, quote unquote insane, while he was performing these murders. Where was I? Sorry. The prosecution claiming that any disorders did not deprive Dahmer of the ability to appreciate the criminality of his conduct or deprive him of the ability to resist his impulses. The defense arguing that Dahmer suffered from mental disease and was driven by obsessions and impulses which he was unable to control. Defense experts argued that Dahmer was insane due to his necrophilic drive, his compulsion to have sexual encounters with corpses. Defense expert Dr. Fred Berlin testified that Dahmer was unable to conform his conduct at the time that he committed these crimes because he was suffering from a paraphilia, or more specifically, necrophilia. Dr. Judith Becker, a professor of psychiatry and psychology, was the second expert witness for the defense. Becker also diagnosed Dahmer with necrophilia. The final defense expert to testify was forensic psychiatrist Dr. Carl Wallstrom. Diagnosed Dahmer with necrophilia, borderline personality disorder, schizophrenia, personality disorders, alcohol dependence, and a psychotic disorder. The prosecution rejected the defense argument that Dahmer was insane. Forensic psychiatrist Dr. Philip Rensick testified that Dahmer did not suffer from primary necrophilia because he preferred live sexual partners, as evidenced by his efforts to create unresistant, submissive sexual partners devoid of any rational thought, and to those he did not have to cater. So basically, the defense is arguing that he had this necrophilia impulse, that he wanted to basically have these sexual encounters with dead bodies. But the prosecution, the people trying to put him away, are saying, well, no, because you lured live victims. It wasn't like you were going to a graveyard and taking dead bodies. You were taking these live victims, rendering them unconscious, knowing what you were doing, and then performing.
And he wanted to create like a docile slave by like drilling into their brains and stuff. So he wanted them. He wanted them alive.
Exactly.
He couldn't get them into a state where he could do whatever he wanted to them while they were still alive.
The final witness to appear for the prosecution was forensic psychiatrist Park Dietz. He began his testimony on February 12th. Dietz testified that he did not believe Dahmer to be suffering from any mental disease or defect at the time they committed the crimes, stating, quote, Dahmer went to great lengths to be alone with the victim and have no witnesses. He explained that there was ample evidence that Dahmer prepared in advance for each murder, therefore his crimes were not impulsive. Although Dietz did concede any acquisition of a paraphilia, It was not a matter of personal choice. He also stated his belief that Dahmer's habit of becoming intoxicated prior to committing each of the murders was significant, stating, quote, "If he had a compulsion to kill, he would not have to drink alcohol. He had to drink alcohol to overcome this inhibition, to do the crime which he would rather not do."
I don't know.
Yeah, I know. The trial lasted 2 weeks, and on February 14th, both counsels delivered their closing arguments to the jury. Each counsel was allowed to speak for 2 hours. On February 15th, the court reconvened to hear the final verdict. Dahmer was ruled to be sane and not suffering from a mental disorder at the time of each of the 15 murders for which he was tried. Although in each count, 2 of the 12 jurors signified their dissent. On the first 2 counts, Dahmer was sentenced to life imprisonment plus 10 years, with the remaining 13 counts carrying a mandatory life sentence of imprisonment plus 70 years. The death penalty was not an option for Judge Graham to consider at the penalty phase, as Wisconsin had abolished capital punishment in 1853.
Okay, so he's just going to be put away for life rather than actually executed.
Pretty much, then actually, yeah. 3 months after his conviction in Milwaukee, Dahmer was extradited to Ohio to be tried for the murder of his first victim, Stephen Hicks. In a court hearing lasting just 45 minutes, Dahmer again pleaded guilty to the charges and was sentenced to a 16th term of life imprisonment on 1st of May 1992. So he's serving 16 life imprisonment sentences. Upon sentencing, Dahmer was transferred to the Columbia Correctional Institution for the first year of incarceration. Dahmer was placed in solitary confinement due to concerns for his physical safety should he come into contact with fellow inmates. With Dahmer's consent, after 1 year in solitary confinement, he was transferred to a less secure unit where he was assigned a 2-hour daily work detail cleaning the toilet block. Shortly after completing his lengthy confessions in 1991, Dahmer had requested to Detective Murphy that he be given a copy of the Bible. This request was granted, and Dahmer gradually devoted himself to Christianity and became a born-again Christian. On his father's urging, he also read creationist books from the Institute for Creation Research. In May 1994, Dahmer was baptized by Roy Ratcliffe, a minister in the Church of Christ and a graduate of Oklahoma Christian University, in the Person Whirlpool. Following his baptism, Ratcliffe visited Dahmer on a weekly basis up until November 1994. Dahmer and Ratcliffe regularly discussed the prospect of death, and Dahmer questioned whether he was sinning against God by continuing to live. Referring to his crimes in a 1994 interview with Stone Phillips on Dateline NBC, Dahmer stated, quote, "If a person doesn't think that there is a God to be accountable to, then what's the point of trying to modify your behavior to keep it within acceptable ranges? That's how I thought anyway."
It's a
on the morning,
doesn't sound like, keep your behavior within acceptable ranges. Just doesn't sound like a thing a person would say. Like, it sounds so robotic, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's very robotic. Dahmer's mother, Joyce, also maintained regular contact with her son, although prior to the arrest, the two had not seen each other since Christmas 1983. Joyce related that in her weekly phone calls, whenever she expressed concerns for her son's physical well-being, Dahmer responded with comments to the effect of, "It doesn't matter, Mom. I don't care if something happens to me." On the morning of November 28th, 1994, Dahmer left his cell to conduct his assigned work detail. Accompanying him were 2 fellow inmates, Jesse Anderson and Christopher Scarver. The trio were left unsupervised in the showers of the prison gym for approximately 20 minutes. At approximately 8:10 a.m., Dahmer was discovered on the floor of the bathrooms of the gym, suffering from extreme head and facial wounds. He had been severely bludgeoned about the head and face with a 20-inch metal bar. His head had also been repeatedly struck against the wall in the assault. Although Dahmer was still alive and rushed to a nearby hospital, he was pronounced dead 1 hour later. Anderson had also been beaten with the same instrument and died 2 days later from his wounds. Scarver, who was serving a life sentence for murder, committed in 1990, informed authorities he had attacked Dahmer with the metal bar as he was cleaning a staff locker room. Before attacking Anderson as he cleaned an inmate locker room also. According to Scarver, Dahmer did not yell or make any noise as he was attacked. Immediately after attacking both men, Scarver, who was thought to be schizophrenic, returned to his cell and informed a prison guard, "God told me to do it. Jesse Anderson and Jeffrey Dahmer are dead." Scarver was adamant he had not planned the attacks in advance, although he later divulged to investigators he had concealed the 20-inch iron bar used to kill both men in his clothing shortly before the killings. Upon learning of the death, Dahmer's mother Joyce responded angrily to the media, quote, "Now is everybody happy? Now that he's bludgeoned to death, is that good enough for everyone?" The response of the families of Dahmer's victims was mixed, although it appears that most were pleased with his death. The district attorney who prosecuted Dahmer cautioned against turning Scarver into a folk hero, noting that Dahmer's death was still murder. On May 15, 1995, Scarver was sentenced to do 2 additional terms of life imprisonment for the murders of Dahmer and Anderson.
So he's dead.
Although he's dead, Jeffrey Dahmer has been beaten to death in the while cleaning prison.
Do you think? What about that guy Anderson? Is there anything there about why he was attacked?
There was nothing there as to why he was attacked. I mean, I know he was serving a sentence as well, but I didn't actually read into what his sentence was for. I'm not sure if it was something. Hang on, who was it? Convicted American murderer. That's just what comes up about him if I hover over his name here. But no, there's nothing to indicate that he was involved in any kind of pedophilia or necrophilia or anything like that would maybe have enticed this guy Christopher Scarver to take a 20-inch bar to his head.
Sucked up it's like a lot. I where a lot of families would have seen it as justice for Dahmer to be killed, but at the same time it was just another criminal killed a criminal,
Mm-hmm. I know. Well, Scarver alleges that immediately before murdering Dahmer, he had cornered him, presented a newspaper article detailing Dahmer's crimes, and demanded that Dahmer answer whether the account was true. So this is Chris Scarver learning about what Dahmer had done. So he cornered Dahmer, presented the newspaper article, and demanded to know, is this true? Did you do this? Scarver further alleged that he had been revolted by Dahmer's crimes and that Dahmer had been openly unrepentant, that Dahmer taunted prison employees and fellow inmates by shaping his prison food into imitations of severed limbs, complete with ketchup to simulate blood spattering, and that prison staff, knowing of Scarver's hatred for Dahmer, had deliberately left the 2 men unsupervised so that he could kill him. Furthermore, Scarver stated that Dahmer was so disliked by fellow inmates that he required a personal escort of at least 1 guard whenever he was out of his cell to prevent inmates from attacking him. Dahmer had stated in his will that he wished for no services to be conducted and that he wished to be cremated. In September 1995, Dahmer's body was cremated and his ashes divided between his parents. On August 5th, 1991, as the nature and scale of Dahmer's crimes initially came to light, a candlelit vigil to celebrate and heal the Milwaukee community was attended by more than 400 people. Present at the vigil were community leaders, gay rights activists, and family members of several of Dahmer's victims. Organizers stated that the purpose of the vigil was to enable Milwaukeeans to share their feelings of pain and anger over what had happened.
That's kind of a bookend to his crimes, to everything he'd done. People get a kind of a...
Yep, that is pretty much it. That is... Yeah. I think we can pretty much we can end that story there. One other thing though, that I did read up on is that the 2 officers, remember who
the negligent ones
we learned about there, that the negligent ones who seen the 14-year-old boy with the kind of hole in his head or whatever, and the bleeding from his anus. Well, they're the guys that led the guy back to Dahmer's apartment, who he then ended up murdering. The lady who insisted that the boy don't go with Dahmer, who the police told to shut up, she then seen a couple of days later on the local news that this boy had been reported missing. And she made loads of attempts to get in contact with the police to tell them about this instance, to tell them that she knew that she had seen that guy, and that the police had. And it took ages before an investigation was finally opened, and the two officers were found, I guess, negligent, and they were not sacked, but they had their license as such revoked. Mm-hmm. That only lasted a couple of months. I think they were transferred to another community where they were reinstated, and I think maybe 2 or 3 months later, they both won awards for merit in the field.
Yeah. No, because that's what happens in America.
Yeah.
Policemen don't get fired; they get reassigned or something.
Reassigned, and then they both got commendated for their efforts, which is absolutely insane. But yes, that is the story of Jeffrey Dahmer explained over 2 parts: the monster of Milwaukee, who served 16 life sentences for 16 horrible, gruesome murders from the 1980s to the 1990s, and probably the biggest serial killer I think we've covered on this podcast to date.
Yeah, like at certain points in both parts of this, like I was just fascinated at the quantity, and then he went and he got XYZ and killed them, and then he went and he got da-da-da. And then particularly in 1991, like that was just insane, like all in a short space of time.
Yeah, he really wrapped up. People? When I first heard of the story, I was the exact same as you. I kind of had to pause what I was listening to kind of take it all in, because it was literally, he killed this guy, he dismembered him. 5 days later, he lures another guy, he kills him, he dismembers him. 1 week later, he kills another guy. 1 week later, and it just keeps going. Like, his body count is just racking up and racking up. It's insane. But as we spoke about before, it was in Milwaukee. It was in he lived in like a sketchy part of town. He was offering these guys money that, amounts of money that would have been seen as big, to pose for a couple of nude photographs. These people were happy to do it for the money, I guess. This town kind of was made up of a lot of travelers and drifters and backpackers and stuff who, if they disappeared, and when they disappeared, accounts of missing people were never really filed because these people were already out on the roads, and it's insane. Yep. It's absolutely insane. Plus the negligence of those 2 officers, like there could have been a whole pile of murders stopped had they just investigated his apartment or done the background check and seen, hang on, this guy he's on probation, he's on probation.
Or believe one of the 3 people who said, this is something wrong here. Or just, intuitively see that there's something wrong with a 14-year-old boy being with a 30-year-old man.
I'm sorry, but 14-year-old boys don't look like 19, 20-year-old boys.
No.
There's a distinct difference,
I don't know what. I'm not going to pretend I know what the police officers were thinking, but I think they just didn't want to be part of the
domestic.
Situation at
it's
all.
A domestic. Let's just let them get on with it, and we can get on our merry way, D.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, that was Jeffrey Dahmer. Thank you for listening to it. Thank you to everybody for listening to the story over the 2 parts. Hope you enjoyed that. Not so much enjoyed it, but I hope you found it fascinating. Interesting. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
If you want to hear more serial killers, let us know.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's something we do.
Yeah.
It's something we do.
Let's get a wee bit...
Not serial killers.
Let's get a wee bit lighter with the podcast, shall we?
I think we need to, at this point.
Okay. Community questions.
We didn't do any last week, right?
Some that come in this week, and I apologize because I still have a couple in backlog. So we'll hit 3 of them this week, and we'll keep some for next week, and we'll just keep building our log. We'll see how we go. First one comes from Michelle C on Instagram. She asks, hot or cold showers and why?
There is no question.
Hot showers. Yeah, I knew you were going to go that way.
Don't say that. Okay, like, now, listen, right? You can't go like, oh, I knew you'd say that, as if I'm the contrarian here saying hot showers. Like, I'm the one who's weird.
No. I know you enjoy a good hot shower, do you?
It's like, look at this guy taking his hot showers. So strange, such a weirdo.
Yeah, I mean, I think both have their place. Don't get me wrong. I think both have their place. But
which would you like if you're gonna, hop in?
Okay.
For a shower?
If I was just like, I just want to take a shower, I guess I'd take a hot one. But after any kind of like run or sporting activity, or if I'm warm, I do enjoy a cool shower. I think it's a nice way to.
Okay, actually, probably a better question is, what type of shower, whenever you get out of it and you've just dried up, when do you feel better? Like, do you feel better after doing the cold one?
I feel better after the cold one for sure. Yeah, always feel better after the cold one. But again,
you couldn't just do a cold shower every time though.
No, I did. This is weird. Like, I was thinking about this when I seen the question during the summer there, or during COVID. I'd say from March right through to like, I don't know when. But there was a problem with one of our pipes in the house for the main bathroom, one of the thermostat actually from the boiler, and it was stopping our shower and bath in the main bathroom from getting any hot water. So the only other shower is the one I have in my bathroom, the electric shower, and it was hot. But I would purposely make myself go to the main bathroom, because the main bathroom shower is like, it's like a force. It's so nice. It's so powerful.
Power shower.
Yeah. And but the thing was, it was cool water. It was cold water. But I was making myself go to that, and every time I was like, you could just take a hot one. But then see that feeling as soon as you get out of the cold one, it was just like, oh, that was so good. That was so worth it.
Feel like a fucking you feel like a boiler walking around after a cold shower.
It's so nice feeling your body. Yeah, heating back up. But this time of year, definitely, I'm really enjoying like a nice hot shower. If I have to shave or anything as well, it's always a hot shower.
True. Yeah. I had a nice hot shower this morning.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah.
I would like, the only time I would be having a cold shower, like the last time I had a cold shower, I think is whenever I was back at home in Derrynoose, and we're the same. Like, our main shower is a really powerful one, which is always the one you want to go for, but it needs, you need the heat to be on for that to be hot. Yeah. And like, it's early in the morning, the heat hasn't been on yet, so I just took like a cold shower.
Yeah.
I know it was fine. Like, it just wasn't. I just love it when it's hot. But anyway.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing that I used to do a little bit, not often, but the odd time, I would like do like regular hot shower, and then I turned the heat up pretty much as far as I could take it.
Could withstand
before it became really painful nearly in the heat.
Yeah.
And then I just turned it down to cold.
Nice.
For about a minute.
Yeah.
And then you get out and you're just like, you've got like goosebumps on you, but like you can just feel this like heat under your skin.
That's a good thing to do.
I feel like a fucking man on fire walking around, and like I'm heating up the room around me as I go.
That's really good for your muscles, Dee. That's really good for like recovery and stuff. It opens and closes the vessels, and it forces like blood in and around the muscles at a quicker rate. So
it reminds me of do you remember like a few times I think we went to the Glencairn, is it? Yeah.
Oh yeah, I know what you're gonna say. There. Yeah.
The plunge pool.
Yeah, they have the freezing cold like icy pool. Yeah.
Yeah, so you'd go like from like the shower or the sauna or something, and then you just like dive into this freezing cold pool, and like it would just like jolt you, and you'd get up, and once you got out of it, you're like kind of like you felt warm, like you felt like you were warm.
Yeah,
it was always nice.
Yeah. I think both have their place for sure. But
I'm team hot shower.
I like cold shower, but I understand. I do enjoy it. Don't get me wrong. I do enjoy a hot shower from time to time. Like, second question, not really a question, more of a comment or more of just a phrase, comes from Frank McBride this week. And he writes, I'm John Wayne Gacy at the first Thanksgiving, pilgrims.
Pilgrims.
Happy Thanksgiving, pilgrims.
It was Thanksgiving, that's right. on Thursday.
Now it's interesting that he has included John Wayne Gacy, not just John Wayne, because John Wayne Gacy is another huge American serial killer that we are going to cover in depth sometime soon.
Is that right?
Yeah, John Wayne Gacy is
right.
fucking... that is a massive case, but we'll cover that. But yeah, Thanksgiving is just past us, D.
That was a bloody Thanksgiving, John Wayne Gacy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Thanksgiving, yeah.
Yeah.
It was notable for me because none of the Americans were in at work. That was it.
True. Well, we had our annual Thanksgiving dinner yesterday here at the house. It was good.
But Christopher, that wasn't Thanksgiving.
I know, but you gotta wait till everybody's here at the weekend, you know. It's very good, very good. It's pretty much my dad's we're 30 days out from Christmas. Yeah, it's a warm up for Christmas, so gets to trial a few things, you know.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's good, yeah. Any excuse for a turkey dinner, like?
Well, that's it. And final question this week comes from Liveberries again on Instagram. Writing, would you rather lose the ability to speak or lose the ability to read?
As the co-host of a podcast,
yeah,
that's a difficult one. I mean, I know my answer is lose the ability to speak. I'd have to say about it the podcast. Unless you all want to watch me sign, I'd learn to sign for you.
Yeah, I think I love reading. I like knowledge. Yeah. I like filling.
You can't read, like you're fucked. Yeah. Audiobooks, I guess.
Maybe actually, that's not a bad shout. Although, is it like if you lose your ability to read, your other abilities become heightened? Like, will your ability of speech become greater?
Become more eloquent?
Yeah, your silver tongue. You know.
I don't know. Like, I mean. Be hard. You'd be reliant on like technology for a lot of stuff.
You would.
You want to find out the news, you have to have it read to you by someone. I mean, you have to watch the news.
I mean, in this day and age, it's hard not to be able to find what you're looking for on YouTube through the medium of video.
But how do you read the title of the video that you want to watch?
That's very fucking true, D. That's very true. You know? Yeah, right enough.
You can't. Yeah. You don't. Yeah, you can't read. It's like you can't even. You could tell you're on YouTube because of the pictures or whatever, but you can't read the links.
That's real weird. I never thought about that actually. Yeah, shit. I think I'd have to say bye to speech as well. So bye podcast.
We would still. This is what we do. We would just write the podcast and we'd have someone else do it, and that's fine.
Jesus,
no, it's not fine. It would be shit.
Yeah, we would just have to become producers.
Yeah. Executive non-writing producers.
Ooh,
which means we don't do anything.
No, we don't do a thing. Yeah.
Don't know where the money's coming from because we don't get money right now, but we're getting all the money.
Yeah. Ability to speak then would have to be lost, I'm afraid. So say goodbye. Just as we're starting to find stride with the podcast, whoosh.
Yep.
The rug gets pulled from underneath the table, which is turned. Right. Do you want to get personal?
Yeah.
You want to tell me about what you get up to this week? Actually, before we do, can I mention something? Can I mention something I want to shout out? Now, this we will have on our Instagram page this week. But there's an incentive, a charity set up at the minute. A guy got in touch with me. I'll tell you who it was when we finish the podcast. But it's for providing provisions, sleeping bags, and rucksacks for the homeless coming into this Christmas time. And basically, the charity is Heartship. Now, I'm not sure if you can find it on Facebook if it registers as a charity or what way it works. I'm going to be sent through all the links and things in the next day or two, so I'll be able to push it from there. But I said that we would definitely shout this out because I think it's terrific kind of, not terrific. Well, it is. It's terrific charity. You know, it's terrific work. I definitely think it's something we should all be thinking of, especially coming into these ridiculously cold months and coming into Christmas. You know, there is homeless people who could really use a hand. But the idea is we're going to try to build between 25 and 30 rucksacks that contain sleeping bags, provisions, clothing, things like that. And then we're going to send them out and send them to the homeless, basically. This is one small group. There's dozens of groups all over. Everybody's going to try to get, I think, between 25 and 30 rucksacks, and then they're all going to come together and we'll be able to distribute them among the homeless. But basically, if you're able to help in any way, the links will be on our Instagram page. And basically what we're looking for are backpacks, thermal hats and gloves, thermal socks, underwear, t-shirt, toothbrush and toothpastes, deodorant, soaps, wipes, wash bags, plasters, small bottles of water, and snacks. Obviously, you'll see it there, and you'll see how you're able to contribute and donate and things like that. But that is what we're going to try to do over the next couple of weeks. I think it's a fantastic cause, and I'll have more information on it soon, but I wanted to mention it now. But you will see it on our Instagram page, and hopefully I'll be able to send the details to you even for our Twitter page as well, probably our Facebook as well, actually. I think it's a fantastic thing to be doing coming into Christmas, so I just wanted to mention that.
Yep, that's awesome. Yeah. That's good. Be happy to help with that.
Okay, excellent. Right. Person with the pod, D. Tell me what you got up to this week.
Chris.
What would you watch? Tell me what you watched.
I was arrived here and nothing has happened.
I know.
Another week has went past and nothing has happened. What I watch? Nothing. I literally haven't watched a goddamn thing. That looks like that was a sharp drink of the Monster you just had, Chris.
Remember when you said it was like syrup? All I could picture was like this really bad like medicine, like as a child, and it's gone beyond. It's not even that cold anymore. It's kind of almost warm. Jesus, it's just not great. But
how far through the can did you get?
3/4 of the can is gone. I'd say I'm down to about the Monster line right about now.
Yeah,
it just smells like sugar. Sorry. Yes. Go on. Tell me. You watch anything? This week?
That's what I really haven't done. Like I really haven't done much. What I have been watching is.
Sorry, you must have had a mad busy week this week, because I didn't hear from you all week. I was concerned at one point, D. I didn't hear from you all week.
It has been fairly busy, yeah. Like not insanely busy though, but it's just kind of what happened there was you sent me a message and I opened WhatsApp to reply to some other message and forgot that you had sent one. And that was the last time
he left me on WhatsApp. Red. Like he left me on fucking red all week.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah, I know.
Like this is what I was saying. Is like the only people I talk to on WhatsApp, it's basically yourself, my mother, and Laura.
Yeah.
And Laura doesn't send me any messages anymore because
you
never leave the house.
Yeah, I know.
So yeah. So like once I read that one and hadn't replied, I literally never got another notification until you sent the follow up message to see if I was still alive. But in terms of watching, didn't watch anything. I've been on YouTube watching peep show clips. That has been my reprieve lately.
Brilliant.
It has been terrific. Like Peep Show is just like, it's such a difficult show to watch because it's so cringy at times.
So funny. The last time myself, or you and Frank and myself got together, you were both talking about it, and it's not a show I've watched, so I started trying to watch it, and I think I got a couple episodes in, and I wasn't latching onto it, It just wasn't great. It is cringe, I get it, and I think if I give it time, I would probably enjoy it, but I just couldn't do.
Just some of the worst people ever on TV show, and they're so funny.
Yeah,
everything they do. But I've been watching clips of that. Like that's what's been preoccupying my time.
Good.
Between work and I've been playing a lot of Apex, as I mentioned last week. Still rocking that. Started playing Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
Brilliant.
Which I bought like a year and a half ago. I'm finally getting around to getting back into it. And
have you played much of it before, or no? Have you played any of it before?
I played about 2 to 3 hours of it. I played like the introduction of it before, and now I'm like well into it now.
Any Tomb Raider game, I'm always eager to hear about. So.
The reason I got back into it was I read on Reddit somewhere people were saying that it's a very good like puzzle solver game compared to like what I disliked about the previous two have been like how you basically go in and massacre a whole group of people, and then you're like, how do I get into this cave?
Yeah.
I don't really dig that too much, but so far I haven't found that to be the case. I've massacred plenty of people in this as well.
Yeah.
So, but it has been enjoyable. Like, the game looks like, as they all do, it looks amazing. Like sometimes you're just walking around in pure awe of these like
wow
environments that you're in. I love that.
I still haven't. I still haven't finished Shadow yet. Shadow of the Tomb Raider. No, that's Rise the Tomb Raider. Sorry, yeah.
Rise is my favorite, I think.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, Rise is my favorite.
Wow.
Just because it kind of gets the right balance between amazing environments, great puzzles, and not so heavy on the killing. Although pretty heavy on the killing. I kill a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like Lara, it's so funny when you're playing as Lara Croft and you're like going and you just like, because in this one like it's a lot more stealthy, so like you just like come up and slit a bunch of people's throats.
Yeah.
And then in like a later scene, she's like going, "Oh God, these people are relentless," and I'm like, "No, they're not. You're fucking relentless.
Yeah.
You just killed like 30 of their friends. Yeah. They're like, God, these people are relentless. Don't blame them." Nice. But yeah, I've been playing that.
Have you picked up Cold War yet at all? No.
No intention of buying.
I was literally on the cusp. Like I was entering my card details.
Ooh.
That's how close.
What brought you back from the brink?
I had time to kill on Thursday, I think it was, and I was just sitting there, and I was like, I'd like to play some COD, and I could get on board with sitting. I was planning ahead for the weekend. I was like, maybe Saturday evening I could sit down, play some COD. I'd jump into some multiplayer. Started watching a few YouTube videos, seen Nuketown again. I was like, this looks sick. I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. And I was going through it, and then just before I just looked at the price again, and I was like, 60 quid for this. Like,
oh, that's a lot. That's a hefty price tag.
Yeah, there was Black Friday deals on as well, and I could pick up like the new Crash Bandicoot for like 23 quid. I could pick up like the new Formula 1 for like 20 quid. I could pick up like Uncharted 4 for like a tenner.
You get all of those games for less than
exactly.
Black
And
Ops.
I was like, maybe I'll just wait. So I didn't go ahead.
Yeah, I played the beta and did enjoy it, but since then I just haven't had the craving, and I've been getting a lot of my shooter action from Apex anyway, and it's free, so you can't argue with that.
Yeah.
For price. No, because aside from that, like I really haven't been doing much. Like I've said it before, I say it again. Like it's just the same old over and over again. Put up some lights on yesterday.
Good.
Yeah. Put up some lights for Christmas.
Excellent. Yeah, my brother and I were due to go yesterday actually, and do the annual cutting down of the giant Christmas tree for our kind of front lobby area in the house. And I came in, I was running yesterday morning. I had a big enough run yesterday morning. I came in, I was like, I'm just relaxing for the rest of this day. Screw this.
Yeah.
So we said we were going to do it today. I don't think we will. So we'll do it midweek, I think.
No rush, Chris. There's no rush.
No rush. Exactly. No rush.
These things go up too soon these days.
Exactly.
Exactly. No, yeah, but apart from that, I really don't think there has been. Oh, yeah, the big news for us this week. We got our mortgage approved to purchase our house.
Yes, I was about to. I have it wrote down here to ask you about the house, but I was going to wait until we were off camera. But yes, that's fucking terrific, D. That's great news.
So that got us pumped. I think about that on Thursday. I was just like, yeah, they're happy. Everyone's happy. The only thing we have to just sort of agree now is like, there's like a survey to be done on the house to make sure there's no like major faults or whatever with it. Once that's done, we're gonna put our pen to paper and
that's the green light, man.
Be purchasing.
Oh shit! I am so excited for you, man. I'm so excited. I'm so happy for you as well. It's gonna be fucking awesome. What a chapter of your lives, like.
I know. Oh fucking hell! It's gonna be good.
Seeing, yeah, I know. Oh god,
but,
yeah.
Excuse me for 1 second.
COVID.
I apologize.
That's awesome. That's fucking class. Here's me trying to decide whether I'm going to buy a £60 game, and you're just like, yeah, just gotta sign the mortgage papers here,
It's a very, but like what's weird about it is that I would still have the same kind of like
yeah.
When you talk about like buying a game at £60, I would still have the same kind of like
reservations
approach to that.
Yeah.
The house, the money involved in the house is just so like large. It's kind of you can't kind of bring that into the same sphere as everything else. Like I still debate. Like for Black Friday I bought a new headset, not this one, but for work.
Nice.
And like I had to justify that to myself. Whereas an extra grand or two on the price of a house, you're like, yeah, let's go up to that, or no, let's not go above this. I mean, you're like, it's two different worlds. Like it's insane. But and all of that money, like that isn't like, again, you'll never see it. Like it's not your money.
It's just
belongs
figures
to a bank.
Yeah.
And all I have to do is pay a bank now.
Yeah.
Not all figures. I have to do. But that's what I have to do.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah.
It's weird. Like
it's awesome.
You know, it's not real. It still like it doesn't feel like real. Like I'm
probably won't. It probably
right?
won't feel real, man. Even when it's going to take you a while. Even when you've bought the house and moved in, like that's going to be such a surreal experience. It'll not hit you until like halfway through the year or something, living together, and you're like, holy shit, this is ours. You know, you're gonna have loads of those moments where you wake up and you're like, fuck, this is my house. Like,
I could knock down that wall. No one could stop me.
Exactly. I mean, I wholeheartedly support any decisions for destruction of property. Your own property.
There'll have to be some destruction to make it worthwhile, really.
Yeah, obviously.
But yeah, that was the good news we got during the week, and aside from that, really.
Excellent.
You know, not a whole pile.
Really, really.
Yourself?
Same thing, D. Very, very little. Gym's starting to go quite well for me in terms of getting a nice client base built up, which is really nice to see. I think I just had a really good time with gyms closing and people looking to kind of stay fit over the Christmas period and darker evenings and things like that. Somewhere nice, somewhere comfortable. That's the main thing. Being able to make people feel comfortable with training, especially if they haven't done it before. That's what I'm really setting out to do. So that's nice. I'm starting to build up a nice base there. It's kind of taking the pressure off a little bit. What else have I got up to this week? Nothing. Yesterday morning was my kind of long run, which I was able to test out some new gear and equipment and things for some of the bigger runs after Christmas, which is nice because doing test runs like that are always cool. You get to test out like different headlamps and different kind of vests and things like that there, just to see how they feel and see how you move with them and things like that. So I like doing things like that.
Was there any nipple
chafe
abrasion?
Oh, absolutely. We are completely like inundated with Suave. Isn't that what it's called? Salve.
Salve.
Jesus, yeah. Suave. Yeah. No.
You are suave.
No nipple.
You have some salve.
Yeah. No nipple chafing. But I'm getting ready. I'm already planning ahead for like the next kind of running challenge I'm going to do, which is in like 3 weeks. So it's gonna be a good one. But I'm trying to get all like the logistics of it kind of worked out to see how it's going to work. So
I have a running challenge for you.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. It's real easy.
Okay.
You have to run only 5 miles.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
But it has to be in a perfectly straight line.
Oh shit.
So if you encounter hedges or gaps or anything like that, you have to leg over it.
Okay. You
don't have to run the whole time, obviously, but yeah, you can't go around obstacles. You have to go through them.
Do you have to constantly be moving
walls
forward? Or can I run like
no.
a mile forward, turn around, run a mile back, turn?
Oh no!
Forward.
You know, it has to be like from point A to point B. There has to be a difference of 5 miles. That's what you have to run.
Okay.
But if you need to like run forward and then run back a little bit to get a running jump
that's interesting.
Over
I wonder that it's definitely possible somewhere in the world. I don't know in Ireland if it would be possible anywhere.
Oh no! It'll be possible.
It's doable. Possible. Yeah.
You have to just find somewhere local around you, right? All you basically need to make sure is there's no like houses kind of in your way. And you can use roads for a certain amount, but then you have to go off road. You have to find fields, forests, what have you, to find somewhere where you can find a 5 mile period where you may have to like go through hedges. You have to crawl under things, climb over things, dive through things.
Okay, I'm gonna write this one down. 5 miles
through rivers, lakes, whatever it may be. It doesn't have to be a run necessarily. Running isn't the focus. It's the circumnavigating.
5 mile in a straight line.
5 mile in a straight line.
That's brilliant.
There was a guy who did it. The inspiration for that was a guy who did it across wheels. He went across wheels.
Shit. Okay.
The narrowest point he could find, but yeah, he went pretty much straight line.
That's awesome.
He was hiking, like a 3-day hike.
That's cool.
But I want you to run it.
Okay, I can do that.
The best time you can get.
Okay, I'll definitely think about that one because that sounds just exciting.
Yeah,
see how that
it's random as fuck, but
I watched last night, D. I've watched a good bit this week, but I'm not going to get into it all. I'm just going to pick out the cream of the crop, which was 1917.
Yes, watched it recently as well, actually.
What do you think?
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, same. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
It was a feast.
Yeah.
It's a feast for the eyes.
Really, exactly. Really, really nice movie. Really well put together. Enjoyed the story. Enjoyed everything about it, really. Just a really good watch. So, probably got to just chill today with some movies, some ice cream, maybe a pizza.
Nice.
And that's about it. That's what my Sunday is going to consist of.
That's a good Sunday.
Yeah.
That's what you want.
Yeah.
Nice, relaxing.
What are you getting up?
times.
What are you getting up to today?
Something similar, you know.
Yeah.
We'll play some more games. We'll play a bit more Tomb Raider, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'll watch anything tonight.
Okay.
Probably won't actually, to be honest. We haven't been watching a lot lately. It's from YouTube and we short things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'll probably be playing Tomb Raider. Probably play a little bit of Apex later. We'll get some food.
Okay.
Don't know. There's nothing big planned for food either, Chris. To be honest with you, we're living semi-frugally at the moment. But
okay.
So it's just like chicken and rice. A lot of that.
Good. Okay. Clean foods, D. Clean.
Yeah. I've nothing exciting, like delicious and amazing to talk about. Like
I don't think I do either. I don't think I have a whole pile of delicious foods that I've had. I need something though. I need something new and exciting. Oh, I did have the
cheesecake.
Did you see the cheesecake?
I've seen the cheesecake on your story.
Oh, delicious. Really, really good cheesecake. But I had these. I know you're not going to see this properly if you're watching the video version. I'm trying to hold up a wrapper. These are Vigolino. I don't know.
Viggo Mortensen.
Viggo Mortensen truffles. There you go. That's exactly what they are. They were delicious. And I'll have some for you next time that we podcast together.
Awesome. Yeah.
That's it. That's all I got. That's all I got this week. We should look into getting another guest lined up really soon for another one. That'd be good.
We will. I'm not sure when our when does our lockdown end? I don't even know.
I don't even know when it ends. Yeah, I know.
If it's gonna end, but yeah, whenever once we can get people back into the studio, it'll be nice.
Oh yeah, that'd be excellent. Really looking forward to that. No, that's it. That's all I got this week. I am desperately busting to pee, so I think we could wrap this episide up.
Yes. Well, no. Let's talk for a while. Me and you. Let's just talk about Chris. Huh?
Let's shoot the shit. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this has been episode 113 of the Empty Promise podcast. Remember, you can find this podcast over on YouTube.com. The video version is available there. Just search Empty Promise Podcast, and the audio version is available on any podcast hosting service. Just search for the handle Empty Promise Podcast. It is the same on our social media. If you want to get in touch and keep up with us there, search Empty Promise Podcast. That's our handle. Or you can get in touch with us through our email, which is
emptypromisepodcast@gmail.com.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. That is it. And this will be live and ready to go Monday. So if you're listening to us Monday, hello from the past. Thank you. We're also growing in India, D. We're getting big in India now. So
of course we are.
Yeah. You see the stats for this week? Newry were our top city. The people of Newry.
That doesn't surprise me because the people of Newry are the best people in the world.
Fucking, that was terrific to see. They have been climbing every single week. I love getting our analytics. I love seeing who's listening to us. Thank you.
Should we have a name for people from Newry?
Newrynians. Oh,
Newrynians?
Yeah.
I like Newrynians.
Neurites I like as well. Is that what you said?
Yeah. I don't like neurites.
Oh, okay.
Neurons.
Neurons are neurons.
Neurons from Newry.
And we're maddeningly consistent in Paris. So thank you. So how do you say thank you in French?
I was supposed to say merci.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, merci.
Yeah.
Merci to everybody listening in Paris. Thank you for the support there. And
merci vous le vent français. That was probably offensive. I'm sure we shouldn't have done that.
Thank you for your vol-au-vents, Paris or France.
France.
Yeah, perfect. And in down. Yeah.
Because we are very bon. That podcast is very bon.
Yeah.
Bon means good in French.
Maybe. Yeah. That's perfect. That I mean, what better way to finish this episode than with some French, some dialecte. No, that's Italian.
That sounds
Okay, gonna wrap this up before we start getting racist. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you. We will see you all next week, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Goodbye and God bless.
Bye-bye.